The phone rang at exactly 6:47 a.m., which was the first sign something was wrong. Grandpa Morris had learned over 73 years that good news never called before breakfast. "Dad," Sarah's voice crackled through the speaker, bright and nervous in that particular way that made his stomach tighten. "We bought you a ticket." Morris fumbled for his reading glasses on the nightstand, knocking over yesterday's water glass in the process. "A ticket? Sarah, honey, what are you talking about?" "To Florida," all of us chipped in, me, David, and Rachel. "We thought, with the cold weather and your arthritis, you'd love to spend the winter down there. There's this wonderful community, and—" But Morris wasn't listening anymore. Through the poor connection, he heard something else, a voice in the background, muffled but distinct. His son David, speaking to someone. 3 months should be enough time to sort through everything and get the house listed. The words hit him like ice water. "Dad, are you there?" Morris cleared his throat, working to keep his voice steady. That's real thoughtful of you kids. When's the flight?" 2 weeks, isn't that exciting? I'll email you all the details." After she hung up, Morris sat on the edge of his bed for a long time, staring at the wallpaper he and Alina had picked out 32 years ago, tiny blue flowers that she said reminded her of forget-me-nots. They were selling his house, his home, and they disguised it as a gift. The next 13 days passed in a fog of forced normalcy. Morris went through the motions, his morning walk to the corner store, his Tuesday chess game with Hector at the community center, his Thursday volunteering at the library. But everything felt different now, like he was seeing it all through glass. He caught himself memorizing things, the exact creak of the 5th stair, the way afternoon light slanted through the kitchen window, the view of Mrs. Chen's garden from his bedroom. All the small details that made this place his. Rachel called on Thursday with forced cheerfulness. "We looked up activities at the community, Dad. They have water aerobics and bingo every Friday night." Water aerobics. Morris had built the deck in his backyard with his own hands. He'd refinished the hardwood floors, replaced the roof, planted the oak tree out front that was now taller than the house, and they thought he'd trade it all for water aerobics. "Sounds nice, honey," he said, because what else could he say? David called on Saturday. "The weather down there is beautiful this time of year, Dad. You'll love it." "I'm sure I will. And with the house so big and just you there, it's a lot of maintenance. Mom wouldn't want you struggling with it." There it was, the truth dressed up in concern, wrapped in Alina's memory like it could be used to convince him of anything. Morris felt anger kindle in his chest, not the hot, explosive kind, but something colder and more determined. "Your mother loved this house," Morris said quietly. "I know, Dad, we all did, but that was then." After he hung up, Morris walked through each room slowly, touching the walls, the door frames, the windowsills. In the living room, there were still marks on the wall where they'd measured the kids' heights every birthday. In the kitchen, the cabinet door that never quite closed right because Rachel had swung on it when she was 6. In the bedroom, the closet where Alina's clothes still hung because he couldn't bear to remove them. This wasn't just a house, it was a life, his life, their life, and his children wanted to erase it, thinking they were helping. The night before his flight, Morris couldn't sleep. He sat in his armchair, Alina's chair really, but his now, and watched the shadows move across the ceiling. He thought about calling one of the kids, telling them he knew what they were planning, demanding they be honest with him. But what good would that do? They'd just deny it, or worse, admit it while insisting it was for his own good. They'd talk about how hard it must be for him here alone, how they worried about him, how this was the best solution. They'd make it sound like he was the unreasonable one for wanting to stay in his own home. At 4 a.m., Morris made a decision. He took out his old notebook, the one where Alina used to write her grocery lists and birthday reminders, and began to write, not a letter of anger, but one of truth. "Dear Sarah, David, and Rachel, I know about the house. I heard David on the phone when Sarah called. I know you're planning to sell it while I'm in Florida. I want you to understand something. This house isn't an asset to be managed or a problem to be solved. It's where I taught you to ride bikes in the driveway and where your mother read you bedtime stories. It's where we celebrated every Christmas, where you brought your own children to visit, where your mother took her last breath in our bed with my hand in hers. I know you think you're helping. I know the house is too big, the maintenance is too much, and I'm too old. You're probably right about all of that, but you're wrong about one important thing. It's not your choice to make. I am 73 years old. I am not senile, not incapable, and not a child who needs to be managed. If the day comes when I truly cannot care for myself or this house, I will tell you, but that day is not today. The ticket to Florida was kind, and I will go because I do love you and don't want to waste your generosity. But when I come back in a month, not 3, this house will still be mine, my home, not a listing, not a sale, not a done deal. If you've already met with realtors, cancel those meetings. If you've started going through my things, stop. If you've made plans for what comes next, unmake them. I am still here, I am still capable, and I am still the father, which means I make decisions about my life, not you. You learn to let go of your children when they grew up. Now you need to learn that letting go doesn't mean taking over. With love, even when frustrated. Dad. Morris folded the letter and placed it in 3 envelopes, one for each child. He'd mail them from the airport. As dawn broke over his neighborhood, Morris stood at his front window and watched the street wake up. Mrs. Chen retrieving her newspaper, the Johnston boy starting his morning jog, the first rays of sunlight touching the oak tree's bare branches. He'd go to Florida. He'd give his children their month of worry about him, their month of planning and scheming. But he'd also give them something else, a reminder that love sometimes means backing off, and that respect doesn't have an expiration date. Morris picked up his suitcase and took one last look around his home, the house that held 50 years of memories, grief, joy, and life. "See you in a month," he whispered to the empty rooms. And then Grandpa Morris walked out his front door, locked it firmly behind him, and went to catch his flight, ready for a battle his children didn't yet know they'd started, and determined to win the most important thing left, his independence.